Welcome, everyone. I hope you have started off your week and it's going well. Um, I know there was probably a busy weekend for everybody. It was really nice here and actually super warm, so nice to get out. If you have followed me this weekend, you saw that we had a lot of excitement at my house. My 3-year-old has broke her collarbone. I knew it was painful, not from personal experience, just what I heard. Everyone said it was painful, and it sure seems to be. If she moves a certain way, it's extremely painful for her. I feel so bad for her, and I'm hoping we can get through this and it heals quickly. Everyone's told me that little ones and their bones heal very quickly, so hoping we can get over that. And let me tell you, she's actually slept pretty well. She just cries out and in pain at night. So we've had a couple more sleepless nights for me than I'm used to, just while she's trying to get through this first part and extra painful for her. So now a lot of you have reached out and I really appreciate that and thank you. Hopefully we're going to be on the mend. So today I wanted to jump on. This week we're going to be talking about sleep regressions. I want to discuss everything about regressions. What are they? When do they happen? Why do they happen? And what are some things that we can do for each regression that happens? Now, over the years, I choose not to call them regressions. I choose to call them progressions because we are progressing to the next phase, which is fabulous. That's what we want our little ones to do. But while we go through the progression, we're going to have bumps in the sleep road that happen. That's natural. Today I wanted to hop on for just a few minutes and offer some information about what is regressions, when we see them usually, and then we'll chat a couple things about the 4-month regression. So the first thing breaking down is, when do we see the typical regressions happen? A lot of times it's 4 months, in between 3 to 4 months is the big one. The next one's usually around 8 to 10 months. I usually tend to see it more around 11 to 13 months. Then we have an 18-month and a 24-month. Those are the big regressions that we usually see happen. I tend to think there's the 24-month one is probably one of the tougher ones. And then also around 2.5, you can actually see another one happen. I think those are some of the tougher ones to get past. But those are typically when you'll see them. What happens with a regression means that there's something that's bumping the sleep road, whether it be teeth, whether it be a big milestone, a huge development, maybe you're traveling. All of those things can impact and regress the sleep. The thing about the 4-month regression is that regression is actually not a regression, because regressions mean you're going through a phase. Once they get over that bump, you're going to go back to how they were. For the other sleep regressions, that's true. If you had a great sleeper or sleep was going well, you get through the regression, you make it through, they're going to go back to sleeping well, their usual habits. As long as you haven't formed new habits in there, things will get back on track. The 4-month regression, they're not going back to anything that they did in the newborn stage. Why? Because now they are going into a new stage. They are actually looking like an older baby with their sleep cycles, how long they're sleeping, the naps are going to be changing. They're not ever going back to where they're going to go in and out of sleep so quickly and easily. They're not going to go back to where they're awake for 15, 30 minutes and then back to sleep. They're completely changing. So the 4-month is definitely a progression, because they will not be going back to any of their old ways. That's important to remember when you're talking about the 4-month regression. So when we talk about sleep being a part of these regressions, sleep's vital. Sleep gives them the fuel, the energy, the nutrients to make sure that we're growing, we're developing. It gives our brain all the good nutrients we need. It's for physical restoration, mental capacity. All of that is a part of sleep. So when we go through these regressions, and most babies are going to hit them, we need to know that sleep is still extremely vital through these. We just may have to tweak or change a few things or get through it. Regressions typically for most are a few days to a week. Sometimes you'll have little ones that it might affect them for a couple weeks, But if we get past that, it's no longer a regression happening. Now we're talking about sleep foundations missing, sleep fundamentals missing. There's something that needs to happen and we need to look at further because maybe now it's not a regression anymore. They're missing some sleep fundamentals. The biggest tips I want to give you today about the 4-month regression is number one is you need to really watch the wake windows. They can change drastically in between 3 to 4 months. So sometimes families are putting babies back down, an hour and 15 minutes later, and they're 4 months old, and it's creating short naps because they need longer wake windows or they need a more adequate wake window. So watch the wake window at 4 months old. The next thing you need to make sure you are watching is if you still have a little one that's swaddled, that swaddle needs to be removed. Baby needs to be working on rolling, moving, trying to roll from front to back, and they sleep so much that they're going to work on those skills while they're sleeping. And we want to create a safe spot for them to sleep. So that sleep sack our swaddle needs to go, and we need to move on to a transitional safe sleep sack or just straight to the sleep sack. So be sure you're watching that and knowing that it needs to go. It's not an easy process, I know. On my blog, I have a great blog post about this and how you can help them get through that transition. And then one other thing you need to watch is pushing on through to get them to that next wake window. So a lot of times we start to think, oh, they're showing their sleepy signs. They can't even stay awake. They're yawning. They're rubbing their eyes. I've got to get them down to bed. And maybe it's not close enough to the next wake window or their next sleep period, and we're going to create short naps or choppy naps or there's not enough sleep pressure built up there for them to get a good solid nap. Sometimes you've got to distract them. Maybe we're going to play on the floor a little longer. We're going to have tummy time a little longer. We're going to go outside for a quick walk. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer to a more adequate wake time so we don't create a short nap or choppy nap and try and get their body into a good rhythm. So those are some important factors we need to think about when we are just thinking about the 4-month sleep regression. If you're just hopping on now, you want to be sure and catch the front of this video because I talked about when the regressions happen most, what is a regression, when we go through this, what are we looking for, and then we talked about a few tips of how to handle the 4-month regression. I'm going to be getting on every day live this week and giving you a few tips about the regressions. I'm going to be answering if you have questions, please send those in about the regression. I'll answer those questions. And we're going to be talking about each regression and how we can handle it and what you can see. So you understand, because obviously the 4-month regression is going to be completely different from a 24-month regression. We have 2 totally different age ranges there, and they're going through different things. I hope some of that was helpful today, and I hope you learned a little more about the regression. Again, if you are going weeks to even months and you still think that's a regression, or it's teething or something like that, it's usually not. Now we're talking about sleep issues that are happening. We've got to set in place sleep fundamentals. We need to look at the entire scope of sleep and get sleep going in the right direction because it's not just teething or a regression. Now we need to give baby those tools to help them be able to self-settle, fall asleep on their own, lengthen out their sleep periods, all of that good stuff. So if you have any more questions, feel free and reach out. I'm going to leave a link to my calendar this week. Hop on, we can have a 15-minute chat. Let's chat further. If you think there's more sleep issues happening, if you need more one-on-one support, we can most definitely make that happen. I look forward to chatting with you all. Let me know if you have more questions, and I'll be hopping on again tomorrow. Enjoy your afternoon.